We are in Marseille. We've arrived. We're actually here for Lorraine's birthday on a very last-minute little jaunt.
Although actually the intention this was a bit of a detour because we're heading to Avignon where we have some very serious past life work that we need to sort out. But we couldn't resist dropping into Marseille just to check it out, and we're pretty sure that somewhere in the scheme of things we're going to uncover information here that is relevant to stuff that we're doing as well.
Yeah, and it also happens to be really nice weather, and we're on the coast, and we're going to go for a really nice brunch. It's only about 11 o'clock in the morning.
We've been up since about 3 o'clock. We had an early morning flight, so we will be drinking lots of tea today, coffee, just to keep us awake.
May partake in a little bit of ice cream at some point.
For sure.
Lorraine and I have arrived in the south of France, somewhere that she's always wanted to be because a friend of hers and herself had a past life here. And we just thought we were coming for a jolly, really, didn't we? I mean, we knew something was going on, but as we've arrived, we've realised that Marseille is actually really close to Saint Mary de la Mer, where Mary Magdalene is said to have arrived in France.
And in fact, Marseille was the site of a cave that is now a grotto, where she is said to have lived for the final 30 years of her life. It's a huge cave in Provence that we heard about last time we were here, but hadn't realised that it was Marseille until we were sat in Marseille.
Until we were sat in a cafe in Marseille having ice cream, looking at the view, and then we were reading about this basilica supposedly having the bones of Mary Magdalene, and then I got a message straight away that it's not the bones of Mary, but it is the bones of her sister Martha. So we think that potentially Lorraine got covered in goosebumps at that moment, didn't you? So we think maybe that maybe they're not actually the relics of Mary Magdalene, but perhaps her sister. And the other message I got was that Martha was far more important than history gives her credit for, that she was actually a priestess as well, and possibly one of the disciples of Christ. So a lot of these women that were really, really important to the true religion, to the true teachings of love, have been overlooked. So now we're on the trail. We don't know where we're going to be led. At the moment we're driving to Mary de la Mer, and we're going to see what happens there. Yeah, we weren't allowed to actually have lunch in Marseille until we had released some trapped souls in the church. What was the church called again?
St. Laurent. We were guided to this church, and it turns out to be the oldest church in Marseille, and was one of the few buildings that survived the bombing in World War II. And it was, let's just say, there were some pretty horrific things that had gone on in that place. Probably in the ancient history and in that time around the war, there was a lot of fear, and there was a lot of energy that we needed to clear, lots of souls that we needed to release.
Yeah, we both got the same vision of people trapped in the church, in like the basement of the church, and that fires were lit to sort of smoke them out or try to kind of burn them alive in the church. A lot of women and children, some men as well, but mainly like children and teenagers. And I heard the name Innocent, Pope Innocent, and then I heard Gregory, so I think it was around that time of the probably the early 13th century, 12th century.
So we've just arrived at the Palace of the Popes in Avignon, which was the seat of the papacy for many years. There wasn't just a papacy in Rome, there was also a conflicting one in Avignon for many centuries, and I have a major past life experience that I had here in the 1500s, where I was a monk who was working with books. I think in that lifetime I pretended that I wasn't very bright and that I couldn't read, so that I was able to get access to all of the really top secret, really important documents and scrolls. And I was an artist, I was painting it was the calligraphy on the letters, and I was very close. The abbot of the monastery was we were very fond of each other, and so he kind of knew that I think the guy that was in charge of the scriptorium didn't like me at all, but so I was always getting in trouble because I would kind of sneak out the documents and under my jumper and golf and hide in a corner and read them. But the abbot knew that I was quite bright and that I was really keen to learn, so supported me, but secretly, silently, so we were very close. And I had another friend whose job was to look after the real hidden books. There was a secret chamber that the books that were the most important and most secret were stashed. And then in this past life, it was a time when there was a kind of dissolution of the monastery, and the monastery actually got raided. And I remember very distinctly not being called to a big central space, and the abbot being very distressed, not knowing what to do. The soldiers came in, and before they came in, we knew they were coming, so we had taken my friend and we actually locked him into this secret chamber where all the books were, which was in the courtyard, and we put a paving stone over and covered it with dust so that nobody would know that it was there and he was there, with the aim of releasing him and the sacred books once they'd gone, except that they didn't leave any of us alive. They decapitated, they put a sword through the abbot, cut off his head, and we were all then murdered. We all died, and I died knowing that my friend was left behind in this chamber. And many years ago, a very good friend of mine had actually recounted, I found the notes recently, of a lifetime where he had been locked up in a chamber, and his job had been to look after the books. And then I was in a retreat with Stuart Pearce many years ago and met the woman who was the abbot, and she had literally had a spontaneous recall of a past life, which, standing in the supermarket, she reminded me of. She said, "Oh my God, I had this past life where I was an abbot." And we had instant recognition in that moment, and we were both hysterical because we knew, and she was just apologising in the middle of the supermarket for not being able to save us and protect us. And I had to forgive her and tell her it wasn't her fault and that she had done everything that she could. So I've been carrying this story, this information, and this wondering where on earth that chamber was that this friend was buried. And now being in Avignon and actually being in the Pope's Palace, it's just very surreal. I haven't quite worked out yet where the place is, and it certainly doesn't feel like it's right here in this space. But we are going to just keep exploring and see what we can find.
Funnily enough, just talking to Laurie, we've just walked past a sign that says we're going into the old palace courtyard.
And my stomach's just done a bit of a double flip.
A few flip-flops.
We've just looked down and seen that everywhere there are these covered slabs that obviously pull up, so there are obviously tunnels underneath, just completely confirming what we'd experienced in that lifetime.
And they've all been sealed in. There's another one there, look, there's a different hatch there. It's concreted in.
So we've just found the room that belonged to the Chamberlain, who was the one that was in charge of the money and all of the particularly important religious artefacts and objects, only to discover that there are 8 different chambers that were underneath the floor where all the important bits would have been kept. That's one of the smaller ones. There's various ones around. So this is absolute, and they've been covered over with paving stones and then carpets and lots of them over them. So absolute evidence that what we remembered and what we experienced in those past lives were true, because I had no idea that they did this in religious houses at all. So just
I mean, talk about a hoarding of wealth. They've got hidden chambers. You can see below me, this is the treasury, and they had all secret rooms and places to take taxes and hide them from people. I mean, it's just disgusting, the amount of hoarding of wealth when everybody else is suffering and struggling. Of stuff being hidden, right, below floorboards, but not concealed, so not officially during,
and not under stone floors.
Not under stone floors, not where it's built like this, where it's deliberately done so that it can be
and where the church has done it
undetectable, and where the church has actually
the church has done it to store all of their money and their wealth and all of the most important documents.
Well, we do know as well. Now we know that there are vaults under the Vatican, right, where they hide stuff. Where they've got
but the vaults in the Vatican
hoard stuff
under the utmost
magical
top
protection,
security and protection, physically, energetically, in every way.
It's really symbolic that people have chucked coins down there. I mean,
I know, as if they haven't made enough money.
I know. Why are you giving them more money? It's ridiculous. Thus far, I haven't had memory of a past life as such here, but when you walk into this papal palace, the overwhelming feeling is of outrage and anger is what I'm getting. I feel outraged. Even when we're walking upstairs, it was like they took so much from so many people. And what for? What, to hide it under bloody floorboards?
Yeah,
like
just
stash it away, build more
pomp.
Build more churches on top of ancient sacred temples that were not meant for this purpose, like this purpose of control and hoarding of wealth.
But they weren't even just them taking it from the people, but they were also taking it from other churches.
From other churches, yeah.
And anybody that was actually not conforming or that wasn't going along with them were either threatened with excommunication or with no longer having the papal blessing.
I mean, it's just basically trying to be above the law, murdering, pillaging.
Yep.
It's disgusting.
You know, the idea that they became these money hoarders, the irony of, one of the most famous stories of Jesus is of him turning over the tables of the moneylenders inside the temples, because it wasn't meant to be a monetary event. It was meant to be about love and protection and safety and community and people. And yet here we are.
And they did it all in his name. That's the irony of it.
Yeah.
They do it all in his bloody name. Excuse me. But it's true, like, it's all false.
So, research into what was going on at the time has just led me to find out about Julius II, who was from the de Rovere family, and he was actually the Pope at that time, in 1512, and he was known as the warrior Pope, and he was very adamant about actually sort of restoring power to the church, and was the Pope that was responsible for giving Henry VIII permission to divorce his first wife and marry Anne Boleyn. And of course, when that didn't work out, Henry was livid and furious and told them that it was a mistake and that they shouldn't have issued it. And that was the moment when the schism happened between the church and the monarchy in England. And I had no idea, looking back, even though that whole period of Henry VIII was always fascinating to me, I never knew which pope it was. And so it was that exact time. And in the past life, the message that I'd got when the monastery was being attacked was that it was men from Henry VIII who had come. It was his soldiers who had attacked. And I wasn't sure at the time. Again, my logical brain questioned why on earth would Henry VIII be attacking his monastery. But the fact that he was furious and was breaking away from the church, it now makes complete sense. So more research needs to be done. But we think we may have found it's a Carthusian monastery, and we think that might be the site of where the past life happened. So we're going there tomorrow.
Behind me in Avignon you can just see the Church of Saint Pierre or Saint Peter, and we just got pulled in there. We just basically got called into that church. I just knew I had to go in there. We've just come out of the papal palace, and wandering around this church we find the most blatant evidence of a statue of Mary Magdalene with the skull and the rose at her feet, heavily pregnant statue of Mary Magdalene. So
no disguising it.
No, not even an attempt to veil it or to hide it.
Our hands underneath, holding the belly up.
Just amazing.
Unbelievable.
Really beautiful. Vive la France. So, after an amazing day of walking around Avignon, we're now treating ourselves to the evening entertainment, which is kind of like a light and sound show, isn't it, Lorraine?
Yeah, and they are effectively going to be projecting images onto the Palace of the Popes. And we walked in and it's covered in stars. It looks like the night sky, which is incredibly beautiful.
Nothing galactic going on here.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional, cosmic.
And in a way, even though we've been kind of complaining a little bit about what happens with the church and the things that are being done, for me the one thing about religion is yes, it creates community, and it's really important for people to come together and to celebrate rites and rituals that honour various different phases in people's lives, whether it's partnerships, whether it's children being born, whether it's a life passing. So those things are very, very important. But actually it's the buildings. It is the absolutely incredible architecture that has been created. That is the gift that I think religion has left. All buildings, it doesn't matter what the religion is. There are so many beautiful spaces, and to be able to use these spaces in a way that people can really enjoy them and people can really share and come together. And so whenever there is music or whenever there is any kind of spectacle, it's just so much more magical because it is in this sacred space, and the space that people would have done, they would have worshipped in, and they would have, used prayer, which you can also feel the energy of that in a space, and whether it was directed for the right reason or not. I think our intention here, right now, and everyone's here, is for enjoyment and for joy, and so that feels like a really good use of the space.
Love, joy. I'm so taken back to Foix, when we were in Foix, and our last kind of pilgrimage to France, and we got guided to Foix, and we ended up at a jazz festival, and the jazz was playing, but overhead there were all these shooting stars, and it's reminding me of that. It's like open air, really gorgeous, and it's like a reward for the work that we've done today as well.
We've done a lot of clearing today, a lot of different levels, a lot of different spaces, and so it does feel like a gift. It does feel like a reward.
And it's my birthday today!